Welcome to the Green Table Talk. I am your host, Jennen Johnson. In this episode of the Green Table Talk, I'll be speaking with Afsana, where we'll discuss her transplant journey, her faith, and how she overcame several obstacles along the way. Welcome to the Green Table Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for having us here. This is my friend Afsana. Afsana has a wonderful story that I thought we'd share with everybody. But before we get started, tell everybody about yourself.
Okay, I'm 23 years old and I'm in nursing school right now at Toronto Metropolitan University, or Ryerson, as everyone knows.
Yes.
I'm in my 4th year now, so I'm almost about to graduate in one more semester. I'm a cat mom. My cat's name is Luna, and I love her with my whole heart. And I have 2 sisters, one older and one younger, so I'm in the middle. And I have 2 parents that I love.
Yes.
So big happy family.
That's good.
And 3 dogs at home.
So 2 cats and 3 dogs?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's big.
Yeah, it's a zoo.
I can imagine. You have an amazing story, as I mentioned before. You've had a transplant.
Yep.
You're also part of the Great Actions Leave a Mark campaign. And you have, your story is just wonderful. And it's very inspirational. And so we have to share it with everyone. So let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
Let me know what your life was like before transplant.
Okay. Wow. It goes back all the way to when I was born, basically. When I was 15 months old, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease. And then years later, I hit 16 years old, and that's when I got primary sclerosing cholangitis, which is the very rare liver disease that I happened to land upon. And it was through symptoms of upper right quadrant abdominal pain and extreme exhaustion. I would sleep for 18 hours at a time.
Wow.
My mom actually had to come in and shake me awake to make sure I was still alive.
Wow.
And I'd wake up, eat a bagel, go back to bed.
That's crazy. So nobody else in your family has this, or at that point?
No.
So you're the first.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. But then a year later, I got diagnosed again with Crohn's disease, a bowel disorder. So those 2 kind of go hand in hand together. Usually you're diagnosed with the IBD before you get the PSC, but mine just happened to be the other way around.
Wow.
So that happened, and I kind of just went to university after that.
So which second? Did you take any medications to help control? Did you what was the procedure there?
I was diagnosed pretty mid-staged in the disease already. So I was put on medication immediately. I did get liver biopsies and MRIs and truckloads of blood work.
Wow, imagine.
Yeah, being so young, it was a bit of a mental shakedown almost. But my team was great at Sick Kids at that time. And they gave me the mental health support I needed, the physical health support I needed. It was amazing and holistic care that I was looking for at that time, especially at a hospital that I already knew, already went to. It was like, oh, I'm just going to see all my friends.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was nice in that sense.
How was this on your family? This must have really taken its toll on your family as well.
Yeah, definitely. Way more doctor's appointments, back and forth to the city was a lot to deal with. My dad took time off work during that time and ended up deciding to leave the position he was in so that he could stay at home and be a great dad to support me on my health journey and follow some of his other passions. And now he has his own business and is doing great.
Wow, that's good.
But yeah, our family really came together and was like, all right, it's time to support Afsana.
Wow, that's good. It's always important to have a great support system.
Oh,
It
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
makes a difference in the process, right?
Yeah.
So what made you decide to go to the doctor or not just you, but your family and yourself decide to go to the doctor and look into the situation further? I mean, you knew from beforehand you were ill, but what was the final, you know what, you got to do something because this is not working?
One weekend I had the flu and I was super stressed over exams, grade 12 exams, right before university, they count the most, they say.
Of course, yeah.
So I was really stressed. It was biology, one of my weaknesses. and I had the flu on top of that, so my body was not having it whatsoever, and I was in extreme pain. But it happened to be the weekend that my family was out of town.
Oh, so you're literally by yourself.
Yeah, I ended up powering through the weekend and waiting for them to come back, but the second they came back, I was like, let's go. I'm not doing this. It's too much pain, and I can't like exactly, yeah. And it was like more than just a cramp or like a abdominal pain that I would get from random sugary foods.
Yes.
So I knew that wasn't it either, and it was definitely more than what I assumed it was at the beginning. And so we did go in, and I did get help with my pain management, and we ran so many tests. But it was clear that those liver numbers in my blood work were so high, they were worried, and that's when they sent me to Sick Kids.
So let's fast forward. Now you need a transplant. It's here, you know, not the transplant, but the fact that you've got to start looking and start, you know, finding a liver. How do you do this process? Like, what's this process like?
Well, it was a long, excruciating process. And it started with asking my family what their blood type was.
Gotcha. So you're asking them for help to see if they could donate.
I did it through email because I was not prepared to ask at all. I didn't want to have to ask in the first place. So I emailed, and it turns out no one in my family was a blood type match for me.
Now, question for you. You didn't want to ask because why? Were you ashamed, or you didn't feel comfortable, or what was the story there?
I think that being in nursing, I have a wealth of knowledge in health, and it brought a lot of awareness to what I'm about to go through.
Okay.
So I knew what I was going through, what I was getting into, and how I didn't have a choice. But they do have a choice.
Yes.
And I didn't want to force them into anything, and I knew that it was going to be a horrible, painfully process that nobody deserves to go through.
Exactly.
And like, transplants leave a lot of scars. So I didn't want to put anyone I loved through that.
Gotcha.
And I didn't want to have to ask for that.
Did you get any pushback from anybody, you know, in the family? Did you ask them like, I don't know about that? And, you know, usually hear this, you know, stories such as, well, what if my cousin needs a transplant later on in life? Or what if my son or daughter needs a transplant later on in life? And I gave to you, how can I help them? Like, was there any type of responses like that?
There was kind of. My uncle had a blood type match for me, but was not an anatomical match for me.
Meaning?
So he had the right blood type, he submitted an application, but when he went through testing and hit the MRI stage, his liver was not compatible for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't even realize that was something that could actually happen.
Yeah, so they look at the structure of the donor's liver and they see if they have the right size of liver, the right bile duct tubing, they call it, and the same thing with their portal veins and arteries and whatnot that go in and out.
Okay.
Because I'm taking a whole 63% of their right side of their liver.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big amount, and so they need to make sure that it is the right liver, right person,
of course,
right size. And me being so small, it's a little bit harder for them. So when I found out my uncle applied, I was shocked. Out of all the people in my family, I'm really glad it was him. And I'm so happy that we bonded over it because he kept me up to date. He filled me in throughout his testing, and he is the most loving uncle I have.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, he's amazing. But I also was worried for him because he has 3 little kids that are all below the age of 10, I'm pretty sure, at that time. So it was scary for me to even think that he would have to be away from them and away from that household.
Okay. That period of time, right?
Yeah. When you have 2 working parents and 3 little kids like that, it does get a little bit busy in your life.
It takes a toll on the one parent, especially if one is down for surgery, right? Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't want to have to put him through that, but I also didn't want to stop him from making his own choice.
Yes.
So I did let him do his thing and go through it all, and he was not a match for me.
Were you slightly relieved when you heard that he wasn't a match? You were disappointed, but slightly relieved?
when he told me, because the team didn't tell me, it was him that called me that morning saying, you know, I got an update.
Okay.
And he's very objective, and he's also in healthcare, so he was able to relay the message to me in a good way.
Okay, good.
But at the end, I could tell that he was a little disappointed that he couldn't be the one to save me. And so I was the strong person again, as I usually am in the face of friends and family, to reassure them instead of helping me.
It's okay, it's okay. And you just reassured, right?
Yeah, I did reassure him the whole call, but afterwards is when I broke down a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I was like, wow.
So disappointed that he wasn't a match. Slightly happy because he can still be with his family and his children, but then disappointed because your search needs to continue at this point.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
And at the time, I wasn't sure if my disease was a genetic disease, as it was under investigation for being one. And I had already suspected it was going to be deemed.
Okay. Okay.
So I was worried of getting a family member's liver, just in case.
Yes.
But, you know, now that it is deemed a genetic disease, I'm a little bit more relieved that, you know, the right person came at the right time. And it obviously is working very well now, to the point where I'm thriving enough to be able to be more than what I was before.
Yes, which is amazing, right?
Yeah. I think more hesitation came from my end, though, because I didn't want a living donor at all.
Really?
Yeah, I opted out of that option at first, and I said, you know, I want a deceased donor and only a deceased donor.
Wow.
I will not ask a living person to do that for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And the reason why you didn't want a living donor is for the same reasons with your uncle.
Yeah.
Right? My goodness.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard
really
this before. This is, wow, it's different.
Yeah, it was really hard for me to ask a living person. And so I didn't want to do that. I didn't do it. But then they said, you know, it's your only option.
Wow.
And I was like, wait, why can't I get a deceased donor? I need that option.
Yes.
It's my only option on my end.
Yes, yes.
And they said, you know, you're small and you're brown and you're female.
Okay.
And those three things are what's going to
the three strikes against you at this point.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're disappointed now because you have to resort to a living donor.
Yeah. I remember that appointment so clearly, whereas me and my mom in the office, and this doctor is repeatedly telling me my morbidity and mortality rates over and over just for being brown, female, and small. Yeah. I was like, okay, I get it now.
That's crazy. I think some doctors don't realize that when they're spewing all these facts, you know, to the patient, it actually hurts. You know what I mean? To them, they're just doing their job, and they're just, you know, listing all the facts and what have you. But hearing it on your end, it's like, okay, I get it. Yes, I get it. I get it. You know, like I found out I only had 4 years to live accidentally from two doctors talking in the hallway. And when they came in, I was like, wait a second, what did you just say? Like I was shocked.
That's horrible.
And that's how I found out I only had like 4 years to live, right? So it was like, so they don't realize they're just doing their job sometimes. They're just doing it. You know what I mean? It's just like checking things off, you know? That's scary that you know, it hurts, like I said.
What's funny is, though, the night before, I found my doctor's research article on it. So I read about how being brown, female, and such a petite person does negatively impact me. And I read all the rates in that research paper she wrote. And then I went to the appointment, and she's like reciting the paper to me.
Oh my gosh. Like, thanks, I already read it the night before. You're gonna tell me something new?
Yeah, so I basically just sat there like, okay, okay.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow, it's like a script.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So now you've been told, like you said, you have to do a living donor. How did you proceed at this point? Because you didn't want to.
Yeah.
So what did you do at this point? To proceed to
Well,
look for a living donor?
obviously I couldn't get a living donor from within my family.
Yes.
And deceased donor wasn't an option. So how do you even go about finding a living human?
Exactly. That's willing
Yeah.
to literally take a piece of them and give it to you.
I wasn't about to go knock on my best friend's door being like, hey, you want to share?
I need your help, you know, come on, sign these forms.
Yeah. It was like ridiculous to ask someone to do that, especially like in the middle of the year when you're like mid in school or in a job, or you know, people have obligations in life.
Exactly.
So that's when I decided a social media campaign was best for me.
Beautiful.
I had a amazing campaign manager who volunteered to help me a little bit
Good.
in starting it, and then I would take over and run the whole thing.
Good.
So the original post, she helped me craft in terms of giving me a template, filling out my story and crucial information I needed, and the right information donors would need to apply. And then we created the page and posted.
Good.
And, you know, I shared it on my Instagram, my sisters shared it on their Instagram, but it did start on Facebook.
Gotcha.
And then once my friends saw it and their friends saw it, you know, it just went crazy.
Started sharing.
Yeah.
Right.
So far. It went like to the other side of the world.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I started responding to all these messages about potential donors who wanted to apply. And it was nice seeing such a huge support community around me.
So at this point, it's feeling easier because you were hesitant about asking, you know, someone that was a living donor, and now you're getting all this love and response back in return.
Yeah.
So you realize, okay, you know, humanity is good. You know, people want to help you in your situation, and they don't even know you. That's the thing, right? They're just reaching out. Just
in
help.
the midst of COVID, really seeing other people's humanity was nice.
Especially during COVID.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So that was really nice to see, and kind of validated that, you know, I did the right thing and I made the right choice in making that first post.
Beautiful.
I was really nervous about it though, and you know, I'm not very big on social media. I don't post often. I do have an Instagram and a Facebook page, but they're very, very dated.
Yes.
And you know, I don't have a Twitter account, but it did get on Twitter through other friends.
Wow. See, look at that.
Yeah. I was surprised, and like, I'm not one to show off my health.
Yes.
I hate when people see me sick. I like to be sick alone. I tell my friends, you know, when they question why I didn't tell them I had bronchitis a couple weeks ago, I'm like, oh, you know, I like to suffer in silence.
Yeah. I do the same thing. I do the same thing whenever I feel nauseous or whatever. And when I was going through my process, my daughter would come down, my husband would come, and he said, you know, I want to be there for me. I'm like, nah, I want to vomit on my own. Like, you know what I mean? I want to do me. You know, I totally get it.
If this door could lock, I would lock it.
Oh, I'd lock it. And I'm like, you know, don't come knocking.
Yeah.
When I'm done, I'll come on out. But yeah, I completely get it. I get it.
Yeah, and I find that if I am around people, then I become a person I don't want to be.
Yes.
So I don't want to take out my pains on other people. And so I like being alone, first of all. Second of all, it benefits others in the end.
Yes.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up posting my journey through waiting for a donor on that Facebook page, you know, updating my viewers, how I'm doing. You know, I had an internal bleed because I had what's called esophageal varices. And those are basically enlarged veins in your neck.
Okay.
Or not neck, your esophagus, but they can burst.
Wow.
And mine bursted. And it's very rare for them to burst. And my doctor again told me that, you know, I have not had a patient that has had varices that bursted. So I think you're fine. And I'm like, okay. And next thing you know it bursts. And I noticed the signs pretty quickly.
What does your doctor say at this point? I mean, don't worry, you got at least 15 years, you're good. Don't worry, the veins aren't gonna burst, you're okay. What happens at this point? Like, you go back, oh, by the way, like...
I've really learned to know that doctors don't take young adults seriously in an adult hospital.
Yes, because they're adults. They've been through med school and they know more than you.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
I'm only 23 after all, they would think, but like I feel like I have the mind and soul of an 80-year-old sometimes. So anyways, I, you know, updated on that page a lot, being like going for every 4-week procedures to close those veins. They would literally take rubber bands and close them off by tying a knot around them.
Wow.
Yeah. And they would constrict the flow, and then eventually they'd be able to take a like laser almost and shave it off. Yeah.
Damn. So how, does that? Are you out for like a few days after that, or like?
Oh no, it's more than that. The first time it happened, I stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And you have to be on clear fluids for the first couple of days, and then you switch to solids again. But it's really painful, those procedures, and I felt like it took a week to recover from each of them at home. And then after that, I had an NG tube as well. So that goes down your esophagus. So when those enlarged veins are pounding with my heartbeat, I feel on the NG tube. Yeah. And at some point we had to say, you know what, no more NG tube, because they were getting stuck on the veins.
Oh my. Ugh.
I couldn't push them down
How
anymore.
Are you, like, anyhow, I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
So I couldn't push them down.
This is a lot, Afsana. Like,
I know, it's been a roller coaster of an adventure here.
Wow. Yeah. And you look happy and you're smiling and everything. Like you said, you look like nothing's wrong, nothing happened, everything's great. You know what I mean? Like, wow.
It's been a lot, but I do find that I've been very stoic throughout the whole situation. And having such a huge support community, and on top of that, people looking at me and to me as their role models now. I feel like not only do I need to keep up that like image almost, that I need to live up to that person everyone wants to look up to, but I also feel like this is me now, and I am capable of being this person.
You are. You've been through like everything. You've literally run the gambit. So you are definitely the person to turn to, and the person who can help others, because you've been through it, right?
Yeah, and that's what I am doing now. Like, I help everyone who I can find their donors in the same way I did on social media. Wow. And it did take me 9 months to find my person, but I think that was the right time for me. It was okay the first couple of months where we went through the testing of a couple people here and there, and I would be kind of sneaky in finding out how many people are in testing, if anyone is being tested. And I would kind of email my coordinator saying, I want to go on a weekend getaway. Can I go next weekend?
Or is there someone that's being tested? Should I stick around?
Can I go for a weekend? And they'd be like, oh, you can go. Or, wow, we have someone in testing right now, and they're just needing the MRI now. So, any time now we'll know. So then maybe stick around.
That glimmer of hope, right?
And I'd be like, okay, okay. And your spine kind of shoots up and you're like, oh.
Yes, and you're waiting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the donor. So what's that process like? How did you find out about this donor? Did you know the person?
I did not know who they are, and I still don't know who they are.
Okay.
I believe they said that they were anonymous and non-directed.
Okay.
So this person chose to donate to anyone, not specifically me, but that they wanted to help, and that's all I care about. Yes, exactly. They did something amazing for me, and I woke up from my transplant feeling like a totally different person, and I was super grateful for them. I stayed in bed and thought about them a lot, and I would get kind of little bits and tidbits here and there from my donor, about my donor. The surgeon told me that my donor was a she. Okay. Which they were not supposed to tell me.
But they let that information slip,
Yeah, which was really nice to know, because I refer to my liver now as a she.
Of course.
It kind of makes it more personable, and I get to honor my donor in a way that I can't, not knowing who they are. And I have the option of writing my donor a letter.
Did you?
I have not yet, and I promised myself I would send the letter by my 1 year mark, which is now passed. Okay. But I did not send it.
What's the hesitancy?
There's no way to say thank you for a gift like that.
She saved your life.
Yeah.
Right? Literally saved your life.
Exactly. I've written my letter, but I read it over and I'm like, this is garbage. This does not say thank you in the way that I feel. And until those two match up on paper, I don't know if I'll be able to. Yeah.
It'll come to you. It'll come to you. It doesn't have to be today, tomorrow. I know you gave yourself the 1 year mark, but it might take a year and a half, might take 2 years, right? When did you have the surgery?
It was last November.
Okay. Don't put that pressure on yourself. When it comes, it'll come, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'll have just like an epiphany of like what to write.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll do it. But I do know that of the benefits of writing my donor. And at first I was eager in sending the letter just to know who they were.
Yes.
And so I decided not to do that, and that that when I send the letter, I need to make sure that I already have detached from that thought.
Okay.
And I'm purely doing it to give my donor a thank you and proof of life.
Exactly.
Like that they did a good job and, you know, it worked.
Exactly. So they know that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
they did something that literally saved your life.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow. So I know you are part of the Great Actions campaign, Great Actions Leave a Mark, talking about, you know, giving back and talking about sharing your story. Tell us more about the Great Actions campaign. We were part of it together, but let our audience know what that is about.
Yeah, so I was approached by UHN to be part of this amazing campaign to kind of showcase our scars as a mark, as they refer to it, which then represents what that means to you, your donor or your recipient, and the whole process and what they've really given you in life. And some people kind of look to it as a beautiful thing or as a traumatic thing, but either way, it's a memory and it's something we went through. It's something that we've all kind of felt to our core.
100%.
So I find my scar beautiful, and it's a great reminder for me of everything I went through.
I love how you address it. You call your scar, what do you call your scar?
Mercedes-Benz sign.
It's not a cheap car.
Yeah.
Mercedes,
very
right?
expensive.
Exactly.
They stitched it up very long and hard. Like they took a long time in there.
Good things come to those who wait, right?
Yeah.
So now you got this beautiful scar that, like you said, you embrace it, right?
Yeah,
It shows.
I do.
Yes.
I do show it off when I can, and as much as I can, because it does really tell a good story there.
Definitely.
Of like, you know, fighting and
100%.
being healthy again.
Yeah.
And my donor and all their like generosity there. But I think that like the most important thing that the scar has given me is the mindset that the transplant gave me afterwards. I had such a transformational mindset experience, from good and bad, but the bad dissipated really quickly.
Yes.
And the good started immediately and never went away.
Yes.
And you know, I felt a heightened sense of every sense in terms of, you know, sounds and smells and tastes, that like I really did feel alive again.
And a greater appreciation for life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's literally what happened.
Exactly. Wow. I like realized almost that, oh, I was dying before, you know, all those things were starting to dim out and now they're so heightened.
Yes.
I'm realizing it and I'm like, wow, this world is really beautiful.
Yeah. Especially when you see everybody coming through trying to help save your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, I obviously agreed to do this campaign immediately, and I did a video and a photo shoot with it.
And you were on the news and radio too, I believe.
Yeah,
yep, you were.
Everything. And I was on a poster in the TTC subway.
Which is beautiful.
I was so surprised to see that.
Yes.
But I loved it.
You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
And of course, proud of your scar, right?
Yeah.
I call it the warrior scar because we are warriors, we're survivors, we made it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what we have to show for it.
I agree.
Wow. And so now you're helping others, helping, you know, other families, what have you, putting their story out on social media, which I think is a great idea because your social media was great. Like I saw it and I thought it was like, wow, this is like a rule book. This is like a handbook for others to see. This is how it can be done. And obviously you're a success story, right? So some of the other people that you've helped were like children as well and helped share their story as well.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy doing that part of my extracurriculars, I would call. I am currently working on multiple campaigns as their manager, and you know, sometimes it does get really busy, especially when you have people from all over the world messaging and the time differences.
Yes.
But I'm always on top of it, and I've realized that, you know, when I was sick, I couldn't sleep at night because my kind of days and nights got switched and I was itchy and in pain all the time. So there was no sleeping for me. So I could respond to all those messages. And now I have to be like, okay, Afsana, you have work tomorrow. Like, you need to go to bed.
You gotta get at least an hour's worth of rest, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, you hear birds. That's a bad sign. Maybe you gotta get off Facebook now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like I should be one of those like late teens that's on their phones in the middle of the night on like TikTok or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm in
You're
my
doing-
20s now
yeah.
on Facebook.
Yes. And
For work.
doing a
Yeah.
great cause.
But if it could save a life,
Exactly.
of course I'm going to do it.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that people that are reaching out is like from the brown community, ACB, or like it's just across the gambit?
Oh, it's across the
Okay.
board. Yeah. I think that depending on the culture you come from, if you make your post, you're the one sharing it. So it's going to hit your followers first.
Yes.
So there will be an influx of your culture at first.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you can't get those applications in, then my next step is usually more media outsourcing.
Mm-hmm.
So I try online blogs or TV broadcasting, journalists, everything I can think of, really.
Mm-hmm.
I basically think of the first news station in my mind.
Yes.
And sometimes that's CTV, sometimes that's Global.
Yes.
And I go on their website and I pick a journalist or a writer and I'm like, yeah, she looks nice or he looks friendly. Let's talk to them.
It's literally any, meeny, miny, mo. I'm going to send this to you.
Yeah. And sometimes I read their bios and I'm like, oh, they like medicine and they like writing about medical things. I'm like, okay.
This is the
perfect.
right person. Yeah.
And so I pitch my story to them and they get out there and next thing you know it, my campaign for these little kids or adults are on TV. And that's when you get the influx of the entire community coming in, no matter what culture you are.
So we literally could be watching television and see someone's story come across our screen, and it's in part to you.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I
Just the
still
thought of
am
that.
shocked that I can make that happen.
You have that power.
I know.
Damn.
I know.
That's good.
I'm surprised, honestly, that I can get to that point now.
But the thing is, you wouldn't be able to do this if you never went through it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you had to go through the process, experience it yourself in order to speak on it and know where to go and who to speak to, who to reach out. Or in your case, sometimes any, mini, miny, mo, a person.
Yeah.
And, share the story with them.
Yeah. So I definitely have a newfound respect for myself.
Yes.
But also I realize I don't regret the campaign. I don't regret going down the transplant route to begin with. And I am not at all frustrated or mad at the world for getting PSC to begin with.
Yes.
All of this is meant to be.
Yes.
And I think that I'm glad that I got PSC because it's taught me a lot, but really I saved some other little kid maybe from getting it and enduring this horrible disease to the point where they couldn't reach their potential in life. I wanted to almost think of myself in a hero sense of taking on something horrible so someone else can be relieved.
Of course, 100%. I've always said that this process for myself, going through kidney failure, it was difficult. It was a pain. There were times where I, couldn't keep anything down. It was a lot, but I've made it through and I'm on this side now. And if I make a difference in someone else's life, like right now here on the Green Table Talk, we're sharing your story, if we make a difference somewhere along the line, it was all worth it. Completely worth it. I said I would go through it again if it means this is the outcome. We get to share, educate, teach, get rid of, those thoughts, those thoughts that, I can't donate, or, if I donate, it reduces my lifespan, or all those, misconceptions. Right?
Of course.
So everything happens for a reason.
I agree. And it's funny you say that because it makes me think of my faith a little bit. I lost a little bit of hope and faith throughout my journey.
Yes.
When I was diagnosed, I basically threw my faith out the window and was like, see you later. And
why is that? Because you felt,
I felt betrayed that I was not protected enough, or that God didn't save me from this disease, or I am not supported at all from God, or they don't listen to me. And so I was like, okay, you got me sick, God. And so I threw it out the window. And then through the campaign I ran for myself, I lost hope in the medical system around 8 months into it, because I saw other people in my support community getting transplants when I was not.
You weren't. Now, I know your mom is a religious person. How did she feel about this now that you've thrown your faith out the window and your mom's a complete opposite?
Yeah.
How did that work out?
It started with a couple tears and a little bit of back and forth conversations about, you can't lose your faith and faith is really important to our community, but I was refusing. And so I wasn't hearing what she was saying, and I just shut it down every time, to the point where we didn't talk about it anymore. And she knew I would only go to pray with her to support her.
Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't go as often anymore once I went to university. I actually didn't go at all at university unless I went home.
Okay.
And so after that, she kind of accepted the fact that I was at that point in my journey with faith, but she knew that it was going to come back to me eventually, because no one can lose their faith forever, I think.
Yep.
So it did come back to me after my surgery in a really, really unique way.
Tell me.
So I went into surgery, and we had the provision that if something happens, my mom would be there for me, and she would be the one to be called and asked to come support and dictate any of my decisions that needed to be made. So I wanted a DNR, and my mom did not.
Do not resuscitate.
Yes.
Okay.
And I said, I don't want one. If I start coding in the OR, I want to die. I don't want to be on a ventilator. I don't want to be in a coma, and I don't want to be alive with a mushy brain. So she didn't agree with that, but she, being in medical fields, she knew that there's different levels of a DNR.
Okay.
So once I learned that a little bit, we kind of came to an understanding, and then we decided that I would have a DNR, but then the team didn't accept it because the team said, hey, you won't need this at all. You'll be just fine. No patient gets in this situation here.
Now, you're kind of skeptical at this point because you know what I mean? Like, you've heard several times, you know, throughout this whole journey, you're good. Don't worry about it. You're okay.
Yeah.
You know, like, at this point, are you thinking, what's going through your mind at this point?
I was like, do I believe you?
Yeah.
Are you saying something that's fact or fiction here?
Yeah.
And so I just trusted my gut, because that's what I've always done. If my body says this is what needs to be done, then this is what needs to be done.
Yeah.
I did that since day one of having PSC and choosing to go to the ER for that diagnosis. And again, when I had those symptoms of the internal bleed, there are so many patients that die of internal bleeds, and all because they make it to the hospital like 5 minutes later than they should have.
Yeah.
And I made it there, and I got the help I needed. So I listened to my body every single chance I got.
Yes.
And my body said, you know, you're calm right now, and these guys seem really, really good to you, and they're calm right now. Like,
they might actually know what's going on. They know what they're doing at this point. Yeah.
So I trusted my surgeons, and they were right. And when I woke up from surgery, I actually woke up in the PACU. And I was told I was going to wake up from a ventilator in ICU. And so I was very surprised by the fact that I actually woke up. But, you know, in my faith, we have prayer beads that we wear as a bracelet.
Yes.
And those prayer beads I wanted to take with me into the OR, but I know that you're supposed to remove all your jewelry and whatnot, and so I didn't remove that one. I was trying to be sneaky, but that didn't work. And the nurse took it off my wrist for me, and her being so kind put it under my pillow to protect me.
Love it.
Yeah. So I was very happy I felt that embrace before my transplant. It really reassured me that things were going to be okay.
Yes, exactly.
But more importantly, it reassured me that that embrace was going to go to my parents right after I fell asleep, so that they would feel like everything was okay. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's important when you go in to surgery that you are, I mean, it's easier said than done sometimes, but you feel that calm, that relax. You know what I mean? Because if your mind's all over the place and you're nervous and you're scared and you're, what if I don't want to wake up? What if this? You know what I mean? It doesn't help the situation. So the anesthesiologist that's there to help you and the nurse that's there, 10 times easier, 10 times better.
Exactly.
Wow.
Then the story gets even crazier when I wake up. I wasn't supposed to wake up, but I did. And when I woke up, I was kind of freaking out. And I was bawling my eyes out. And the nurses were like, it's just the medications. Like, you'll be okay. And I was like, no, I need my mom. And they were like, well, no, it's COVID. You're not allowed to have your mom in PACU. And I'm like, no, I need my mom. Go get my mom. I need my mom, my mom, my mom, my mom, my mom. And they were like, what are we doing with her? Like, what do we do?
She knows what she wants. Just get her mom. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But again, they said no. And I was like, I have like accommodations in place for her. Please get my mom. You know, if I can have pineapple juice in the hospital and I can have a liver within 9 months, because it takes 9 months for a baby pineapple to grow.
That's crazy.
I know. I don't know how I thought about that, because
out of surgery, by the way.
Yeah, right out of surgery. But you know, a couple years ago, I went on a Make-A-Wish Foundation trip, and we did a pineapple farm tour where the guide told us that pineapples take 9 months to grow.
And you remembered this?
Yeah.
After surgery?
Yeah. So I said, you know, and then it takes 9 months to grow a baby and a mom. So go get my mom.
Thank you.
And they were like, okay.
Let's get her mom. She's not going to stop.
Yeah.
Let's just get her mom.
They sent someone from the PACU down to the surgical waiting area to get my mom. And they ended up bringing her up. And when the elevator doors opened, there was a gentleman waiting there for my mom saying, you know, are you Miss Lallani, Afsana's mom? And she said, yes. And my mom started worrying because, you know, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, exactly.
And usually you only bring the executive decision maker.
If there's a problem,
if there's,
right?
Yeah, big problem. And so she started worrying. And I was already 10 hours post-surgery because my surgery went 2 hours overtime. So everyone was worried. And now my mom is even more worried. And I'm like, oh God. But the guy is like, hi, my name is Raheem. And my mom says, oh, okay. And I'm gonna bring you to your daughter. She's okay though.
And she keeps asking for you.
Yeah, she's okay. She's just asking for you.
Yes.
And she goes, okay. Like, sighs, like,
really,
a whole release of like stress and everything. And then the gentleman asked her what her religion was. And he was the same culture as us. And so it was a coincidence that not only was he the same culture as us, but his name was the same as my uncle's.
The uncle who tried to do it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
See how everything comes full circle?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's when my mom felt the warm embrace.
Oh my goodness. That leads into my next question, Afsana.
Yeah.
Do you feel that all of this just happens to be sheer coincidence? It just happened to happen? Or do you feel there's some type of, you know, religious intervention? Do you feel that there's something like a greater power, a higher power at play? Like, you know what I mean? Like it just so happened to happen, or something else bigger is at play here?
I think there's definitely a higher power, some sort of vibe in the air, if you will. I'm not sure if that's a god or a single god. But there's definitely something there that makes things happen the way they do at the time that it does. Because how could I get my liver transplant when I did at the exact 9 month, have pineapple juice the night before? Like, I don't know how that all lined up. And then on top of that, my uncle's name was right there.
Mind blown. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part. That's crazy.
And you know what? We have such a huge religious community around us praying for me in those last 2 hours especially. So I don't doubt that there is some sort of religious power in prayer.
Wow. I definitely believe in the power of prayer.
Me too.
150%.
Me too.
Wow.
I don't think I would have woken up from surgery in the way I did.
So sharp and aware.
Yeah.
Like, I was out of it, groggy. I mean, obviously I had a kidney, you had a liver, but still, the drugs, the medication, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was out of it. Like, I was seeing 2, 3, 4 of each person, and you woke up just like this. You're ready to go. You're throwing facts out there.
I took a Snapchat.
Oh, okay then. I tried, and I fell asleep with the phone in my hand. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Your story is just so inspirational.
Thank you.
So inspirational, so moving. Like you just, and you look great. Like I said, it doesn't look like you've been through anything at all. It's just, you know, I don't know, mind blown. I'm just so happy that you came here on the Green Table Talk to share this story, because not only are you inspiring our viewers, but you're inspired. They're going to share your story. You've inspired others. Like you said, that's your responsibility now. You know what I mean? And you wear it well, hun. You wear it so well.
Thank you.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
Man. So this is the time where we share a little nugget of knowledge for our audience. And your nugget of knowledge is today. Always try to tackle your challenges head on. You might be surprised with the results. And you are literally that surprise. Like you tackled your challenges. You had your ups and your downs, of course.
Yeah.
You know, you've lost your faith at one point, but you came right back.
Yeah.
And now look where you are.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I think that like tackling your challenges head on is so important.
Yes.
But I think you should do that while you're still living your life.
Definitely. 100%.
I really
100%.
tried to make my health a background story for me. It was not what defined me.
Yes.
And so I stayed in school, you know, I have a cat, I still hung out with friends and family, but you know, it was still a huge part of my life that I did think about. And now it's even more part of my life in a different way.
Yes.
So it's so important.
Did not define you, didn't hold you back. And here you are, glowing, gorgeous, right?
Thank you.
Man, thank you for sharing your story on the Green Table Talk. I am so happy you came here and blessed us with your story. You know, continued love and prosperity to your family. And I wish you nothing but continued success.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Come back again anytime.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks. That was good.
It was. I didn't know your uncle part.
Yeah, it's actually the first time I've shared it.
Wow. So we got like we got inside scoop here.